Hi, welcome to Market Chat with Brenda and Lori. I'm Brenda Alfano, mortgage advisor with Capstone Home Loans, and my partner here is
Lori De Silva with Remax Elite. I specialize in residential purchases and sales of homes.
So today, Lori, we are going to once again talk about the market in general because we're at another season of the market, so to speak, if we want to call it a season.
I'll call it a season.
Let's call it a season. I think so too. And it definitely feels a little different to me personally with my business than it did even 2 months ago. So tell us a little bit about what you're seeing.
Right. So early spring, it seemed like everything was moving much faster. I literally had put a home on the market on a Saturday and it went under contract Saturday night. So, and it is very area specific, mind you. But it seems a little bit slower. Days on market have increased. As of last week, we were at 26 days for Snohomish County. So homes are staying on market a little bit longer. I think buyers, at least the buyers I have, they're taking their time to really look at homes and look for what they want. I think there are some buyers that are thinking that interest rates might adjust. And some people are thinking that home prices will go down.
Right. And should they be thinking about that?
Right. Yeah.
So, to put it in perspective, several years during a really big boom back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was huge boom in the market in Washington. It literally took me 2 years to sell a home. So, because I had a very unique property in a very unique place. So I think 26 days on the market sounds wonderful. But, when you think about showing your home for 2 years, all those people traipsing through your home. So anyway, any other statistics you want to talk about?
Yeah, so the market changes quickly. So just a few statistics. I mean, starting July 9th, we were at 19 days. And then the following week, we went to 20 days. And the following week, which was last week, went to 26 days. So, it has been increasing a little bit. When you look at last year's sales, and I'm going to check my report here so I'm correct. Days on market, June of 2023 was actually 16.
Wow.
And this year it was 15.
So not much difference.
So not a huge amount of difference there. And then also looking at, year over year residential homes listed on the market. Last year at this in June, we were at 834 homes. And this year we were at 1,105 as of end of June. Now, we're still under the amount of inventory that we should have. We have low inventory.
Yeah.
That has not changed. As a matter of fact, we only have, if you sold everything on market, we have 1.7 months worth of inventory.
Right. And what does that translate into how it affects the market? Like we call that a
seller's market. So we're currently in a seller's market, even though it kind of feels like things are transitioning, but we still have the low inventory.
Right.
A buyer's market or a balanced market, we would probably have about 4 months of inventory in order to call it a balanced market. So,
and then when the buyers are in control would be technically.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because you alluded to it not being a buyer's market, but I can tell you that buyers are getting things that people thought they couldn't get. Like there's contingency sales happening.
Right.
A lot of them I'm hearing.
Right.
Through my lender cohorts. A lot of contingency sales happening. Also seller contributions towards closing costs are happening. I think sometimes that has to do with agents having a more open mind about the market instead of this is all that we can do. And it's like, well, not necessarily, because everybody, it's so many people have to sell a home to buy their next home. So they need a contingency too.
Right. And home inspections, buyers requesting home inspections are starting to happen again.
Which is good. I think that's a really good thing. Yeah. Right. Instead of waiving your home inspection.
Right.
Right.
I mean, the home inspection is just a really good way for a buyer to get really familiar with the home they're purchasing.
Right.
So,
And I'll just allude to the fact that we did a great YouTube video on that some time ago in Market Chat with home inspection. You might want to go back and take a look at that because that was very informative.
right.
Cool.
Now, another thing about the market too, sellers are still, right now, they're currently either getting their asking price. A few months ago, it was like 1.1% over asking, 1.9%. It's kind of leveling out where they're getting their asking price, but that also depends whether the home is priced correctly.
Right. Just because a home isn't selling, it doesn't mean that the market's softening.
Right.
Necessarily.
Right.
It could be that the home, I sat in an open house recently. We didn't even have anybody come look at it. And it was in Monmouth Terrace, and I asked the agent, who wasn't the representative of the home, but she was just doing an open house for them. I said, what do you think the problem is? She goes, it's just overpriced. They're not even coming to look.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're thinking that without even coming and look at it. So,
right.
And I had to agree with her, but I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't look at that. But
right.
It was a very small home.
And most agents that work with buyers before they even go see a home, they'll probably do a market analysis and they'll know what the price point should be.
Right. And so then they say, that home is overpriced. So why look at it? Right.
And there's a lot that goes into pricing, mind you. And so, a seller's agent would go over that with their seller, but there is a lot that goes into pricing a home.
Right. So. Right. Not just how much you'd love to get.
Right.
Everything I can. That's what I want to get for it. Right.
So other than that, so this is a question I always get. What are interest rates doing now?
Right. So have they dropped to 3%? No, they haven't. And we don't anticipate that happening. But an interesting thing is I did look up some stats just to kind of get a feel, because I don't pay attention to that so much as when I'm just pay attention that when I'm pricing out a loan for somebody, and say I started with them 3 or 4 months ago, and now I'm pricing it out today because we're finally in a contract, like, oh, what did rates do in that time frame?
Right.
So I looked up where we peaked this year for interest rates, and it was in May. And this was across the country. Advertised interest rate was 7.22. Now, a lot of people weren't getting 7.22. We were more in the 8s for some people. It just depends on how much down, how much you're willing to pay for points, what your credit's like, all those things. So there's a lot of factors that goes into the rate. But and then now, as of July, the rate's 6.73. So basically, it's gone down about 0.5% since May. Right, and I could tell that because I was pricing one out for a client the other day, but I've been holding off. And this was just less than a month ago. We actually went into contract, did our loan estimate at one rate, well, 7.5 for him for his particular circumstances. Right. And yesterday I priced it out and it was 7.125. So for very similar pricing costs for the points. Right. So that was a good thing. So we keep hearing that the Fed, and it's what's interesting to me is the Fed didn't used to drive mortgage rates, and it still really doesn't, but we listen to what the Fed thinks inflation's doing and all that, and what they plan to do with the Fed rate and how that affects everything. And there's going to be perhaps, and I weep on that, because less increases, or there are going to be faster drops than they maybe anticipated originally. We don't know that for sure. We just can infer from what they're saying. But I will say that's something that we talked about in our sales meeting today, which is something I'd totally forgotten about. So I'm glad he reminded us, is that when they're talking about rate improvements, like they're talking about a quarter rate improvement. Well, we've actually already, which is probably why we're seeing this lower rate, that's already been priced into our pricing.
Oh, okay.
So, and this happens a lot of times in the normal world, and I'd kind of forgotten about that. So just because the Fed will drop doesn't mean you'll suddenly see an interest rate drop with us. Right. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, rates have improved.
Correct.
And if you want to buy a house and you can find one that you like and love and you qualify, it is still the best time to buy a home. Because as we know, with low inventory, it's a whole supply and demand. The prices aren't going to drop. Maybe they're leveling out or not. it also so depends on the area you want to buy in.
Very much so.
So depends on the area you want to buy in.
And here's
Go
a
ahead.
little tidbit as far as Snohomish County median sales price. Last year in June, the median price was $765. This year, the median price is $825. So
So you can see very clearly that
Yes.
prices are not going down.
to your point, if you find a house you love, take
And you
action.
can afford it.
That's right.
There is always the possibility that when rates come down, if they come down enough, that it might be thought worth looking into refinancing. I don't like to make an assumption that you can refinance, or if you even really want to. That's where your lender will come in. That's what
Right.
I do with my clients. It's like, let's pencil this out. Let's see what makes financial sense for you.
Right.
Whether it be smarter to just keep paying more on your mortgage or refinance it and pay those costs as part of it. Because they aren't free. No matter what anybody tells you, they're not free. So, I mean, they may tell you there's no cost to it, but
Right.
you are paying for it in rate. So there is not a free lunch as far as I know anywhere. But so
Yeah.
that's always a thought. But seriously, because what's going to happen too, I think we talked about this in my meeting today too.
Mhm.
If rates do come down
Mhm.
enough that it gets some people off the fence where they had that magic number,
Right.
guess what? Inventory is not increasing.
Right.
Way more competition.
Right.
Way more competition is going to happen when people say, oh, I'll go ahead, I'm ready to buy now. It's like, if it isn't tough now, it's going to be even tougher. I mean, that's just
Right.
logic right there.
Right.
So it's smart to go there. I mean, don't buy a house because someone's telling you to, but if you want to, and your heart and your mind
Right.
and your finances are all blended, go buy a home. That's my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Yes.
I think that's all I had to cover
Yeah, that's all
today.
we do too. So
Yeah.
if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Please check out our YouTube channel and like and subscribe. We would love that. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.